morning, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have had lots of coffee. Through the break, as we met. Right, okay. Hashing is one of my favorite topics. It's actually really, really easy once you get it, but it's somewhat tricky on the Java implementation level, and you also have to get your head around the concept. So I'm going to start with a very easy example, and then just to get your head around the abstract concept of hashing, and then we'll start going into the detail. Now, where are we with search? We started out with what? Okay. We ended with binary search trees, which are where we had a linear arithmetic performance. Then we said, well, let's improve it and go to a red-black tree, which gives me true logarithmic performance. But I'm bloody greedy, okay? And I want to search even fast. And I want to insert fast. So what I would really like is something less than logarithmic performance. And if you do it well, you can also do it badly and then it explodes. But if you do it well, hashing can give you better than that, which sounds almost impossible. But the idea about hashing is the following. Suppose I'm searching on surnames in a class list. Yeah. What I have is a string. So typically it makes sense, just like you do in the telephone book, I look at the first character, oh, surname starts with an S. Okay, let's go to the S's, and then within the S's, what's the next character, and so on. But what I would really like to do is to take that surname, do something to it. And the thing we're going to do to that surname is to hash it. I'll explain just now. And then that hash must magically give me the place in the array where that name is, so that my access to the array on that surname has complexity 1. I'm going there immediately. Okay, without dividing the array and looking at the S's, or only then within the S's looking at something deeper. I want to get this name, wave my magic wand, and immediately go to the right place where that name is. Which sounds impossible if you have the searching mindset that we have up to now. Okay. So how does hashing work? In the old days, when I was a child, we did not have Google. So to amuse ourselves, we did other things. We didn't text. In fact, everybody in my grade 10 class was exceedingly jealous of me because I had a calculator. One of those with the 10 buttons and the plus minus equals. That's the age I come from. But okay, so to amuse ourselves during class time, we couldn't text, we couldn't Google. So what did we do? And it's serious that I did this, okay, explains a lot of things, but we wrote coded messages. And we did it, I'm sorry, we just did it. What else should we do without a cell phone and Google? So one of the things we did was you write down the alphabet, and to each alphabet letter you assign its relative position with 1 to 26 within the alphabet. Okay. And then when I want to write hello, when I want to write ABBA, one, two, two, one. Yes, that is my code for ABBA. It makes sense, you must see. Actually, I want tickets to a Mango Group concert. And I'm not sure I want to use it. It makes me feel very old. Anyway, that must be about my age. Anyway, yeah. So I'm going to bring away my Mango Group. So you get this idea. I get a character, I encode it with a number, and then if I give you a word, you can write down the numbers representing that word. You all get it, it's trivial. And that is exactly, that is in a certain sense what hashing is. Because suppose I have alphabet numbers, alphabet characters, and I want to store them in an array. So I want to know where is A. Well, A is, or Z, where is Z? So here's my array. And A is there, and B is there, and C is there, and so on. So if you give me A, I want to know where in the array is it. And I'm clever, so so A is at position 1, B is at position 2, C is at position 3, and so on. Yeah. And in hashing, we're going to do something very similar, but slightly more advanced. But that is the idea. I have an array where key value pairs are stored. Okay. I'm going to hash the key, and if I give you that answer, I must go to the exact index in the array where that key is stored. So let's play around a bit more with this idea. This is simply mapping individual characters. But suppose I want to hash into something else. My little black book, which is also something we call that. A physical paper book with names and addresses and telephone numbers. Okay. So that means I actually have an array, and each of these things is now not an individual character, but a word. Yes, this is an address. So this might be the brain, and this is the lamp. This could be May, and so on and so forth. Okay. Kutser, wat is dat?
Kutser.
Kutser. Het was kutser in een kutser, maar waar komt het in? Okay. So I'm going to store these strings in my array, and now I want to hash it. And this is a very stupid scheme, and please, don't ever use it, but it illustrates the point. Okay, very simple. The Java program is going to break. But it is possible. I have a method of mapping each individual character to a number, right? A goes to 1, B goes to 2, and so on. So if you give me, I'm going to start with that one. If you give me the brain, I can take the D, which is a 4, and the E, which is a 5, and the B, which is a 2, plus, and I calculate the sum of the values of all the individual values. And that gives me a number. And I take that number and I store it. I store the brain at that exact position in the array. So next, if you give me a brain, I immediately go to the place where the brain is stored. That's all. So my performance is less than logarithmic because I did not have to search for the brain. Where does my effort lie? My effort lies in calculating the hash function. However, that is an exceedingly stupid scheme for the following reason. Let's pick up funny surnames. Let's sort TV programming, titles or something. So I've had coming from bad is one thing that I want to store. But somewhere along the line, somebody came up with a very nice TV show called Dad. Could have used Captain Tech for whatever. But clearly, these two things hash to the same position. Okay? So my scheme clearly is really stupid. But this is a common problem in hashing, that two different values might go to the same position. And the whole of hashing is centered on how do we arrange things so that if this happens, this is called a collision, because I get a value, I hash, I go to exactly the place where it's supposed to be. I do a compare and see, oops a daisy, this is not the value I was looking for. So this was a collision. So where do I find the value I was actually looking for? Right. This all makes sense, right? So there are two schemes to handle this. The first one is called sequential chaining. And sequential chaining works like this. I make an array, and instead of putting the key value pairs directly into the array, I make an array of pointers. Right, so I still hash to a position. When I get to that position, I find a pointer. And attached to this pointer is a list of possible values. Linked list. Let me have multiple values. Yes, so I was looking for bad. So bad might be here, and I see it's not bad I'm looking for, so I look at the next one, and yippee, there's that. That is sequential chaining. That is one method of handling collisions. You know, is the uneven non-linear something with your oh, this is sequential chaining, the separate chaining. Okay. Separate chaining. Right? But the idea is there. The other thing we can do is implement linear probing. And linear probing works like this. It says, I have an array. Suppose I'm trying, suppose I'm hashing with bad, and now bad is in my table. I insert it. Now I hash dab. I'll get to the same index, and I see, oopsie daisy, there's already a value there. Then linearly, that's why it's called linear probing. Linearly, I simply go to index I plus 1. If this was the index I say, well, you know what? if place I plus 1 is open, then simply write that there. So you get the same effect in a certain sense as with the linked list. Because if I have an array with values here, and then there's a lot of open spaces, and a value there, and open spaces, and a value there, and a value there. That's my array. So I hash to a position, I find it's already taken, I simply go to the next one. If that is also the incorrect one, I look at the next one. So you get the same kind of idea that I go to a position and I linearly search through all the adjacent positions to get to the value of 1.
What happens if all the spaces are full?
Ah, thank you very much. So this can only work if I have enough open space in my array, because if I don't have enough open spaces in my array, I can potentially get these clusters of a lot of values next to each other before I get to the open space. And also it means my array must be big enough to have open spaces. So hashing is this beautiful, beautiful, really sly idea of why should I search? I don't want to do that. Every computer scientist is the epitome and the definition of the most lazy person I ever met. And I include myself. If there's a lazier way of doing things, I'm all for it. So hashing is your lazy searching method. What should I search? Good heavens, let's just go directly to the correct position. But then there might be a problem because the wrong value might be there, and then you have to search a bit. So given that this approach to searching is the absolute, is the classic example of a time-space trade-off. So coming back to what if there are a lot of values in that linear probing thing, or even linked list that hangs on the side, then my searching becomes not immediate, but rather a very long linear search through the list. So we have to make this work. And the way we make this work is we throw a lot of memory to it. If I have 10 values to store, let's give it a table with 100 spaces. So if I hash somewhere, the probability of getting to an open space is very good. Yeah. Because I only have 10 values, but I've got 100 spaces in my array. So are you happy with this idea of a time-space trade-off? I want to make you think quicker, so let's throw a lot of memory. We already saw that in a certain sense with merge sort. We said merge sort can be very quick because we double our memory size. We have an auxiliary array, and then it makes things quicker. So this is exactly what we do with hashing. So clearly, if you're working for the Nearcut project or the SKA, where I have gazillions of petabytes of data, it might be a slight problem. Because then your array must be much bigger than gazillions of petabytes, otherwise the hashing will almost always intercollision. If your array is too small, the probability, the smaller the array, the greater the possibility of a collision. hashing to a value, seeing something is already there. And if I keep on hitting collisions, that means that I will have a lot of linear searching. So we want to avoid that. So it's a time space square. I throw a lot of memory to my problem in order to make it quick. Isn't it? You'll know afgezet. Okay. There's another thing. Another reason why I like the hashing. It's the first time really where we put statistics to work. So for this specific part of chapter 3, I want you to go back to your first year course. What was that? The applied math probability statistics. And just think a little bit more statistically about how we're going to do this. This will work under the following conditions. Firstly, I must have a good hash function, and we're going to look at a good hash function and how to calculate it efficiently. Then, in order for this to work well, we want to put a lot of memory, more than the number of values that go in there. So there must be enough space. And then we want a hash function that will give us indices where we store values in such a way that if I look at my completely full hash table, most of the key value pairs are nicely and evenly distributed over the time. I don't want clusters of values. So if I have 100 values in my array, I don't want the first 20 to be full, and then a lot of open space, and then the last 20 to be full again. That is not an even distribution. So we want this a value and a bit of open space, and another value and a bit of open space, and another value and a bit of open space. So we want that even distribution. And if we can achieve that, well, then things will work out well, because in that case, both the linked list approach and the linear probing approach will only have short lists that I have to do. So if I have 2 or 3 values over here, it really doesn't matter, it's almost the same as me. But I don't want 100 values in one of these lists. Okay. So let's go to the nitty-gritty. The nitty-gritty first is, if I have different, let's first look at hashing. How do I calculate the hash function? Because it seems to me that everything is centered on how do I hash. Because it's my hashing function that will guarantee that I have this nice even distribution. So I have to do it clearly. Yes. I'm going to work with an array. So whatever the hash function produces must be a positive integer. Yeah? Everybody happy? It must be all 0. 0 or positive integer. Okay. So if you give me integers, that's cool. I don't really have to change a lot to an integer. If I want to hash an integer, it's not very difficult. The only thing that I have to take into account is that the integer might be outside of the size of the array. And then I simply mod with the size of the array. Okay. If you are going to do some calculation on that integer, be very careful of overflow. Because if you multiply by something, you might end up with a negative number, remember? If you multiply something, your value might become too big, which gives you a negative number, so be careful of that. Okay, but suppose my values that I want to hash are actually floating point numbers. So instead of getting A, B, C, D, I'm getting a lot of floating point numbers and I want to have them. Allow me the freedom to talk about floating point numbers for a while. How many of you are not doing applied mathematics? Okay. Floating point numbers are a bit tricky when you calculate with them, because if you never do any numerical programming, engineering programming, there are some tricks of the trade that you might lose sight of. For example, 0 is not necessarily 0. So you never test for if variable x is equal to 0. Because you might be calculating, and then you get a very small value, like 0.10 zeros and a 1. But in practicality, that is just 0. So you always test against equal. You test not against equal, but less than the certain very small. Floating point numbers are in mathematics might be infinitely long. Okay, so I can have a value that is 3.333333, and in maths in school you put the dot on the last 3, which of course doesn't implement. So because we don't have an infinite number of parts in the computer, so therefore you have to cut it off, and therefore you get a value that is not really reflecting the calculation. So it's something that is missing in the computer science undergraduate curriculum. This whole working with floating point numbers. So if you can somewhere along the line do some numerical computation course, or if you can go to Coursera or whatever you do these days, look at the numerical computation course, because that is missing in our mind. And if you're going to work as a programmer for an engineering company, you're going to look at a total idiot if you've never done this kind of thing. Okay, right, that's my sermon for the day. So let's suppose we get floating point numbers. How do I hash? You might round off to get to a value between 0 and n minus 1, but the whole thing about the floating point number is, am I going to get plus 3? Okay, so don't just round off, because rounding off puts the emphasis on certain part of the number. Let me bring that back to integers to just illustrate what I'm trying to say. Suppose you have to hash South African ID numbers. They all end in these magic last 3 numbers, 084, 086, something like that. I think it used to be male, female, or something, but it's not exactly that. There are other choices as well. But most of them have a 0 and for the second and the third last number. So you cannot use the last 3 numbers of a South African ID as your hashing function. Yes? Because that will give you a lot of correctness. Might it be a good idea to use the third and the fourth number? you're going to get exactly 12 plus. Why? Because the South African ID number says year you were born, month you were born. So if you use character number 3 and 4, you're going to get 12 plus. Okay, so that's not a good idea. So this, you're putting bias on certain digits of the input that you're looking at. So with the floating point number, be careful there. Strings, yeah. Sort of like what I said here, but please don't do it. And there's a value R that is used in the textbook. And the idea is that you use an n-digit base R integer. So if I'm working with characters, my R would be 26. So I'm working with base 26 rather than base 10. And there's an example there. If you have an abstract data type where you have different fields, you have to combine all those fields. Okay? So you must, for example, if you have date, you must somehow use the day and the month and the year in your hash function. Otherwise, you're going to get clusters. So the idea over here is you take the day times R, which is your base, yes, plus the month, mod m times R, plus year, mod m, and so on and so forth. If you implement your own abstract data type, you are supposed to give a method called hash code. So just as you have that string aspect, in order to print, you have to have a two strings. Not enough copy. For any abstract data type that you implement, you have to have two strings so that I can print the value. You also, in general, actually have to have, for every abstract data type that you implement, you have to have a hash code where you calculate a decent hash function for this. And if Java thinks it's a good idea to have that for my own abstract data types, clearly they have it for their own. So you can simply use the Java hash. And Java has available a hash on a given key. So you can always say x.hash key. And then they have this very strange thing because you might have a sign with this one. So this last part, you know what the difference is between the single ampersand and the double. If you don't, now is the time to find out. This is a bitwise AND. The double ampersand is a logical AND. And so they are getting rid of the sign bit. That's all that is. Write a small piece of Java code where you leave this out. And then you let x be a big integer where you multiply it by something so that you can get negative values in it. So if you feed it a negative value, if you don't do this, you might end up with a negative value for your hash function, which clearly is not correct because how am I going to address my array? Yeah, for my array, the values must be between 0 and n minus 1. Okay, right. So that's all the hashing. So then in summary, we know what the idea is. The idea is you give me a value, I apply a hash code to it. The hash code returns an index between 0 and n minus 1, and I go to that place in the array and I see whether that is the value I was looking for. If not, I either have to do linear probing to get to that value, or I have to do sequential what? Separate chaining. Or I have to do separate chaining within lists. The most important thing then, if you want to implement the hash function, it should be consistent. Aha, we haven't talked about this. The hash function must always be such that if I give it two things that are the same, I must get the same answers. So if I give it from sale, I get a hash value. If I give it from sale, I must get the same hash value. However, it may be the case that I give it the grain and grain bar, we still end up with the same value. That's simply a condition because of the hash function. Okay, that is acceptable, but the other way is not allowed. Okay, the hash function must be efficient to compute. When we get to compression in chapter 5, we look at something called Warner's method, which is a quick multiplication method. So I'm not going to look at it now, but the hash function must be efficient to compute. If I want an immediate access to the array, I shouldn't have to call a method which takes like 5 minutes to compute in order to bring back the array value, because then it's useless. Must be efficient to compute, and then lastly, the hash function must uniformly distribute the signal. So for the moment, we're not going to look at hash keys in more detail. However, I suggest that you read up. Because hashing, the definition of hash functions has a lot of mathematical ramifications, especially those of you who are doing maths as your second major, or if you are doing statistics, okay? And the rest of you, whoever say don't just use the Java stuff, know why you are doing it and why it's useful. Okay, but it's a fascinating topic. So please read up on it. We'll come back to it a little bit in chapter 5. For the moment, we're going to be Java. Talking about the leading Java, I want to go off on a side track. Random number generation. Dr. Feldman has talked to you about built-in random number generation. It's dangerous because whenever your application is based on a good random number generator, you must seriously first ask Stack Exchange or something else. Double check whether the programming language that you are using has a good solid random number generator. Okay? Because some of these random number generators that are built into programming languages are dangerous because they're not good random number generators. So just be very careful if you're writing simulation or you're writing the code to fly the airplane. I hate software flying airplanes because I know what can go wrong. I prefer the manual version. Or, I don't know, control the nuclear power station. All of these horrible, horrible things that can go wrong because in your second year class you did not do very well. And now you're running my nuclear power station. It's insanely scary. So look out for the hash code because what Java provides is not necessarily a good one. Potentially. Go find out if it is in that version of Java a good one. And the same for random number generators. And when you start doing security, security is one of the buzzwords in computer science these days. You get buzzwords. security is now different. And security is based on random number generator. You know how to choose your password. Right? You know it's a fallacy. Stupid ideas that are not university still insists that you use capital letters and symbols. What is the only thing that is important if you choose a password? The length. So what I typically do is I take words that I remember easily. But I have a string of almost 26 letters. So go Google that. What makes a strong password? And it doesn't matter whether it's known words or whether there are symbols in between. If you want to hack a password, the strength of the password depends on how many letters you know. Because you know how password crackers work, right? Oh, and the other thing, sorry, no patterns. No patterns. Because one of the empirical things that hackers use is they search for patterns. So I used to have a password which was just some or other mathematical sequence because they're very easy to remember. So my password is 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, and so on. But that is being cracked in a certain sense. They're so easy to remember. But anyway, so fragments is also something that's looked at, and police don't have different passwords for all your accounts. In a certain sense, it's okay if you use a little bit of a pattern, but not, you know, my common password ending with Google, my common password ending with Facebook, my common password ending with PayPal as the last 2 years. Yes. Because if one of them gets cracked, all of them is cracked. So be aware of the patterns. But then it's simply the length. Why is it only the length? Because in encryption, okay, this is hand waving. This is not strictly true. But you want to look at all possibilities. Because we have so much computing power, the shorter your password, the quicker you can look at all possibilities. Right. That's your hand waving, but that's where it comes down to. Right, so now we know what a hashing function must look like and what it must produce for an array. And then we get up. Now there is an explaining of separate chaining. Yippee, I saw the book, that's what I meant. There's an explanation of separate chaining. We already covered that. There is your algorithm to do separate chaining. Yeah. So you've got a put, you've got a get, you've got the implementation of the linked list. This is quite good. Yeah. But then we get to proposition K, which is beautiful, and you have to know it for the test. Remember that we're going to write the test not next week, even though we're finishing this chapter, because we're doing this space the whole test. So we're going to write on chapters 3 and 4 at the end of March. So proposition K. In a separate chaining hash table with m lists and n lists, what are we talking about lists? M is the number of values that we want to store. Yes, I have a class list of 100 surnames, so my m is 100. Is it not going to go? Sorry, n is the number of keys, that's what I want to, sorry. Exactly wrong. N is the number of keys that I want to store. And if it so happens that I am in list, the number of keys in a list is within a small constant factor of n upon n as extremely close to 0. What does that mean? That means in plain English that the lists are short. The probability that the lists are short is almost 1. They are. Okay? Because we want short lists, because if they get too long, then I basically am doing a linear searching on all the lists. Okay? Don't want that. And this comes back to your first year stats. So if this doesn't make sense, your stats book, 3 more minutes. So what do we want to do? Distribution. How many words from n? I choose k out of the n keys. Hash to the given list with the probability 1 upon n. Other n keys do not hash, so it's 1 minus 1 upon n rewritten. And so we define an alpha value as n. And you've got that lovely. This you have to know, but it's not for the test. And then we get the same argument for linear probing. So proposition M. Proposition N, you similar, and you also have to know at the end. And if I remember correctly, actually one of them was in the test loss. So I might not lost it, or I can ask the same one, or I can ask it. Array resizing, please read the section on page 474 on array resizing, where is it proved to decide that I don't have a nice distribution anymore, so clearly my choice of n was covered. So I have to resize my array to free up more space so that I can hash that. Okay. And that is it for searching. No, it's not. Please note you have to know the space usage. Look at the space usage. Do not memorize it, understand it. Please. Okay. Great. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
Ja, het is een springwoord.